I give the floor to Annalisa Oboe, Vice Rector for Culture, Social and Gender Relations of the University of Padua. Annalisa, you have the floor. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And it is a pleasure to see such a full room of young people, especially. The world is yours, so what else could we want for this conference? The conference promises great things, talking about cities, territories, and the struggles for human rights with a 2030 perspective. The Rector is also very pleased to host this conference here at Palazzo, which is the ancient venue of the University of Padua. And I wish to extend his greetings to everyone present, to our guests, the speakers, people from all over the world who have joined this conference today and tomorrow. And the Rector wishes you a very profitable meeting. Personally, I wish to thank Marco Mascia and the Human Rights Center of this university, the wonderful people that work there, for putting together a very stimulating program. It's actually very much to the point of where we're going and what needs to be worked out. So I really thank the Center and Marco Mascia for this vision, and also for the highly interdisciplinary approach to issues that are being discussed. The theme itself is very complex. The reflection, I seem to understand, is what kinds of rights are spelled out in cities and local territories, in the tension between the local and the global, but also in the tension between the local experience and in human rights law on the one hand, and the sustainable development goals of the UN agenda. It seems like a very ambitious task to navigate this triangle, you know, the local experience, the wider perspective, which is temporal but also political, and how human rights and human rights law intervenes in this kind of predicament and possibly change. I had a look at the program. It is rich in experiences and proposals and also questions. A lot of questions are being asked during the conference, and what I noticed, and this is exactly what perhaps is needed, is the wide angle on what constitutes the local and the global. We have experiences from India, we have experiences from Lima, Peru, but we also have experiences about our neighborhood just past the railway station, the area called Arcella in Padova. So we go from the macro to the micro, and each is important in the kind of discussion that you will be having in these 2 days. And it is also a discussion about the subjects of rights. We have street vendors, we have women, we have children mentioned in the program, we have Muslims, migrants. These are what we would like to think of rights-bearing people. But what kind of rights they are bearing is open to discussion. So I hope great ideas will come out of this conference. The last session on policies and actions is what is needed, I think, to move things forward and to be able to set real proposals on the table. But before I conclude, I wish to draw your attention to the red cloth on the chair there. Have you seen it? Have you noticed it? And there was one, there is one in each room at Palazzo Bo. There has been since Saturday. The 25th of November happened to be a Sunday, so we are keeping this sign on for today at least to remember through this initiative, which is called Posto Occupato, seat taken, all the women who were victims, are constantly victims of male violence, and all the women actually who died because of male violence and cannot be here today. If that woman were alive, she could have taken that seat and she could have been here to speak about her own rights, women's rights, and human rights, because women's rights are human rights. And this is just a gesture. It is something that we share with the Centro Antiviolenza here in Padova, many associations here and throughout Italy. And we want to remember and we want to act, because these gestures are useful to raise consciousness, but they're not doing anything in terms of how, for example, this government, this state is intervening or not intervening in, making the life of women safe. And we need also to change culture and to rewrite the grammar of relationships, obviously, in Italy and everywhere else in the world. So this seat taken is a tangible gesture dedicated to all women victims of violence. Let me conclude. The funny thing is that each poster is dedicated to one particular woman that we know, and that the Anti-Violence Center here in Padova knows because of her sad story. And the woman that is mentioned there actually was a citizen of the place where I come from, Lonigo. It is just a coincidence, but it moves me to think that violence is so close to each of us, and that we should take notice and not look away. I end by wishing you all a very pleasant conference. I hope you enjoy the exchanges, and thank you for the important work you're doing to keep the human always in view. Thank you.